Are you struggling to build a better connection between you and your audience? If that's you, go ahead and drop a one in the comment section and let me know. Or do you have a desire to have an audience filled with action takers? If that's you, go ahead and drop a two in the comment section. Welcome to the Influencer's Journey Show, and today's topic, why storytelling is the secret sauce to your social media. Welcome to the Influencer's Journey Show, and I am Taria Hodge. And the big question that we set out to answer each week is, how does the average entrepreneur like us, who started with limited time, zero marketing budget, or little to no online presence, get the authentic message in the marketplace and become a person of influence? And also, what skills must you learn? And most importantly, who are you required to become to magnetically attract your divine clients? Now, believe it or not, story is the secret sauce to your social media. But the question becomes, what do you do when you feel like you don't have a story to tell? So how many of you out there feel like you don't have a story to tell? And if that's you, go ahead, drop a comment into the comment section and let me know. Sometimes, yes, I feel like I don't have a story to tell. Or do you also feel like your story is not relevant to your business? You might be saying, I have plenty of stories, but how do I relate these stories to what I do in my business? And if that's you, go ahead and just let me know. Or you might be sitting in a place where you feel uncomfortable sharing your story. And I know that's a big one, because for me, it was the thing that held me back for so many years in my business, that I absolutely felt uncomfortable sharing my story. And so I was one of those persons who actually was of the mindset that no one wanted to hear my story. So you see, the thought of me being open and vulnerable and sharing the hard parts of my entrepreneurial journey was something that absolutely terrified me. So I always thought that, you know what, I didn't want a few things to happen. I didn't want to share these stories that would have me be seen less than perfect. How many of you are feeling like that? If I go ahead and I really tell this story, people are going to see me as less than perfect, and then clients won't want to work with me. So if you've ever felt that, go ahead and let me know. But here's the thing that I came to learn, and I found out that I was actually missing out on the most important thing. And that thing was to be able to create a deeper connection with my audience. So it was when I started to actually share the tough parts, the hard parts, the not so good looking parts of my journey, I started to attract a different type of people in my business. So one of my things that I had to learn is that I had to be able to show up as authentic. I had to be able to show up vulnerable, less than perfect, and be able to relate to my audience, and then also relate to my clients. And when I started to take a look at social media from that perspective, things started to change, and my social media took on a totally different experience. And so we're going to spend some time today on our Influencers Journey Show unpacking just that. But before we jump into today's social media, today's Influencers Journey Show, one of the things that I want to say is, first, thank you for tuning in and catching the pre-recorded show. So yes, I am pre-recording the show today because I will be on travel back to Maryland by time this show is airing. So yes, my time in the Virgin Islands has come to an end. I'm leaving the sunny Virgin Islands and heading back to Maryland, where I've heard it's not so warm as yet. So pray for me, guys. Okay, I only have sandals and flip-flops in my bag. There's no boots. So I am looking forward to my trip back to Maryland. But without any further ado, if you're tuning in and you're with us here today, please go ahead. Let me know where you are watching from, because I will be coming back and checking in on the comments. So take a minute to let us know what city, what state, what country you are hailing from. And then also, we want to know, who do you serve in your business? Who do you serve in your business, and how do you serve in your business? And the reason why we ask that you do that every time we do our Influencers Journey Show is because we know virtual networking happens. So we absolutely love to see the connection between our super achievers while we're on the show, and also after the show is over and during the week you guys are in communication. But we won't know who you serve and how you serve in your business unless you tell us. And then the last thing that I am going to ask you to do is just take a moment to share with another super achiever. And so I'm just going to go ahead and say this. One of the things that I know is that if you are taking a look at the title, the content, and you're here saying, wow, this is for me, I guarantee you that you know at least 5 other people who can benefit from the conversation. So before we jump into the meat and potatoes of today's training or today's call, go ahead and just let us know, or go ahead and tag another super achiever and have them join in on the conversation. So Suzanne and I, we have just completed our Unleash the Power of Your Story 2-day training. And so I want to jump on here first before we do anything else, is give a personal thank you for all of our super achievers who showed up on support. And this is what support looked like. Thank you for those of you who joined our Unleash the Power of the Story 5-day challenge. It was a complete joy to see our challenge attendees go through the challenge and drop their videos. It was an absolutely amazing 5 days. Then also for those of you who showed up on our Unleash the Power of Your Story Masterclass, we had a wonderful time there, great discussion, great conversation. And then ultimately, for those of you who joined us on the Unleash the Power of Your Story 2-day training. So once again, shout out for all of you who showed up, you participated, and you also supported by inviting your friends too. So thank you for those of you who have actually shared as we went through our launch process, with your colleagues and your business besties and everything. So you all are all to thank for the success that we had on our 2-day training. And so without any further ado, for those of you who are just joining us, welcome back to the Influencers Journey Show. Today's topic is why storytelling is the secret sauce to your social media. And so, like I said, we just completed our Unleash the Power of Your Story 2-day training. And I thought it would be really great to kind of unpack some of the questions that Suzanne and I have gotten over the years of partnering and collaborating, on Unleash the Power of Your Story. And I'm going to share with you some of the things that happened for me in my business as I started to incorporate storytelling and more speaking, and how storytelling has shifted my social media in my business, in the hopes that it will be able to help some of you super achievers who are struggling in that area or that department. So one of the things that I want to start off talking about is why promoting your products and your services is not enough. And so what do I mean by that? I've been in the social media space, so let me give you a little backstory. I'll tee it up for you. I've been in the social media space for quite some time. And when I started in social media was very, very new. And it was so new that at that time, I spent a lot of time trying to convince people why they needed to incorporate a social media strategy in their business, okay? So it was a thing when social media just started and social media just started to take off. People used to ask me all the time, why do I need, to take a look and do this and incorporate social media strategy? Social media is just a fad. It's going to be that thing after a couple years, it's going to die down and then it's going to eventually go away, right? Now, look at us. How many years later, social media is still not here. I mean, it's still here. And if you're a business who have not incorporated a strong social marketing strategy into your business, I'm going to tell you, you're missing out on opportunities that are available for you, quite a few opportunities. But here's the thing, the scope of social media has also changed. So I also came from a time where, because there wasn't a lot of businesses on social media, or only big brands were on social media, it was easy to promote my products and services. And one of the things that I always say is that social media leveled the playing field for me. What do I mean by that? It allowed my business, it allowed me to show up and have opportunities to market to my audience, clients, well, market to my audience and gain clients and have the same amount of exposure as larger companies had. Okay. And so putting up things like a promotion of a product that I was offering, events, all of that good stuff was really easy because there wasn't a lot of competition in the marketplace. There wasn't a lot of competition in my space. And so I saw great success at that time. But eventually, just like everything else, when other people started to enter into the space, I started to notice that things started to slow down. Okay. And I started to question myself. It's like, oh my gosh, what is going on here? And I actually kind of hit like a wall in my business. You know, have you ever came to a point in your business where you hit that wall, where you're having a lot of activities and things aren't moving or progressing like you thought they should, or they were? And that was actually me. And so I was posting, I was doing a lot of sharing, and engagement started to dwindle. So how many of you have ever experienced that? Or you're probably experiencing it now, is that you're out there and you're sharing content and no one is responding to your content, or you're not getting the type of engagement that you desire on your content. And so if that's you, just go ahead and let me say just go ahead and let me know, drop no engagement in the comment section. And, hopefully I'll be able to share some things with you today that will bring some things to light for you. Okay. So here's one of the things that I realized that was happening. So I was doing all the things that the gurus said that I should be doing, meaning sharing content 3 to 5 times a day, showing up every day on platforms, posting all over the place. Okay. One of the things that I had to come to terms with is maybe my audience isn't receiving the information or the content that I'm sharing like I want them to. So how many of you have ever seen a post on social media and someone is offering a product or a service, but immediately you are counting yourself out from that solution? So you read it, you saw it, and you say, wow, that's really great, but that's not me. So if that's you, just go ahead and let me know if you've ever had that experience. Or maybe you see content in the marketplace and it seems to you like everyone else in the marketplace is talking about the same thing, right? And you're kind of confused as to who is your person. Like, oh my gosh, I just saw, 3 other coaches today share this same particular thing. Okay. How do I know, or how do I decide which coach is the coach for me? Which business is the business that I should, invest my time and invest my money with? I don't know. Okay. So if you've ever had any of those experiences, go ahead and let me know. And so one of the things that I had to get present to is that, a lot of times people would see stuff, they're interested, they're excited about stuff, and they're counting themselves out of the solution because they don't see themselves in the solution that you're providing, because you're talking about the solution, okay? And you haven't really given the opportunity to drill down deep and say, hey, I know what it is that you're challenged with, okay? So I noticed that that was one of the things that started to occur in my social media. So people were actually seeing stuff and not really knowing how can Turia help. That's the point that I'm trying to make. How can Turia help? How do I know that she is the person to help me through the transformation that I want to get to? So it wasn't until I got present to being able to say, hey, I know why you're struggling. And the reason why I know you're struggling is because I've struggled with the same things too. And so therefore, I've learned some things on my journey, and I'm willing to share those things with you to help you get to your transformation that you want to experience. And once I started to share those unique experiences, then I started to find my people. Like the perfect example of this is, what I do here with video marketing. I remember being in the space when videos were just coming out. And I used to train on doing videos. And as much as I trained and as much as I went through software and techniques and all of that stuff, I still wasn't seeing a lot of people doing videos. And I started to question why. Why aren't they doing videos? Then I started to do videos on my own. And then what I realized that it was more than technology that's holding people back or stopping people from showing up doing videos. And so as I work through those kinks and those issues and those problems for myself, then I'm able to say, hey, I get where you are. I get where you're coming from because I've been there too. And I've been able to develop specific programs, products, and services to help those entrepreneurs do what I call stop hiding and show up and shine on social media. Okay. And so that's one thing. The second thing that I want to talk about is the flip side of that. So the first side of it is people can't see themselves in the solution that you're offering. The second part of it is, how many of you as the business owner have ever been shopped? And what do I mean by shop? You are doing such a great job of, promoting your products and your services. Maybe you're getting on your discovery calls and you're in conversation with people and they're receiving that, of everything. And they say, oh, wait, that's great. I love it. I love what it is that you're sharing. I saw that you showed up on your Facebook Live. I'm talking from experience here. I saw that you showed up in your Facebook Live, and the content that you shared was absolutely amazing. And then what happens? They go and they work with another person and they actually don't engage you for your products and services. Anyone else out there has ever experienced that? Now, here's the thing that I also had to learn. I also had to get present to that Taria is not the only person out there that offers social media services, right? I would love to believe that I am the only social media strategist that there is out there. But truth be told, I am not. So the question becomes, what makes me different from all the other people who do social media? And the answer to that question is my experience. It's my story. And so that's exactly what I mean when I say experience. So what are the things that stopped me with social media? What are the things that I had to push through? What are the things that I had to learn? And because I came through on the other side of that, I am now able to share that with others. Okay. And it's by sharing those types of stories in your content, believe you me, it makes you so much more relatable to your audience. And one of the things I like to say is that I get you. And because I get you, I got you. Okay. And so that's the reason why showing up and promoting your products and your services on social media isn't enough. We all have the responsibility of being able to go a deeper step and create that connection with our audience. And like we like to call it here, your emotional branding. Okay. And so the next thing that I want to take a minute to talk about is, why is your story relevant? And I just touched on that a little while ago. And your stories are the things that set you apart from the thousands of people out there in the world that do or provide the same services that you do. And it's when we give ourselves the opportunity, to show up and share our stories, that allows us to become magnetic. And when I say magnetic, one of the things that I would love for each of you to start taking a look at your social media is a way for you to attract your people. Now, I'm using that word specifically, attract, because one of the things that, I've been taught coming through this journey of entrepreneurship is that we have to go out there and we have to find our clients. How many of you have heard that we have the arduous job of finding clients? And what it is I've learned is that we don't have to go out and find clients. We don't have to go out and prospect clients. Our responsibility is to be able to show up in such a way that we are attractive to our audience. We become attractive to people. And once we are attractive, then our light acts as a beacon in the marketplace and allows our people to find us. Okay. So that's the unique work that we have the opportunity to do here in our storytelling for super achievers. How do you use your messaging, your unique messaging, your unique stories in the marketplace that would allow you to show up and shine? Yes, that's my word, show up and shine, and become that light in the marketplace that you are able to attract your divine client. And that's the power that we all have available to us when we share our story. And so if you're still, out there on the mindset thinking that I don't need to share those parts of me, I just need to show up and deliver the content. How many of you have ever said that? I just need to show up and deliver the content, because that used to be me. I used to train and I was just like, no, I'm not going to share anything about me. I'm not going to talk about anything. What we're going to do is just focus on the content. And I'm going to tell you that didn't work out so well. So I had, I had to go do the work and take a look at, how to use or how to show up as authentic and vulnerable. And like I said, share those stories that would bring the context to the content that I'm sharing. Okay. And so the third thing that I want to spend just a little time talking about, because this is one of the big questions that we get all the time: what story do I tell? So how many of you have ever asked that question? What story do I tell? It's like, oh my gosh, I have so many stories. How do I know which story is the right story? And my answer to that question is, the story that you tell is the story that brings the content to life. And so once again, we're talking about why storytelling is the secret sauce to your social media. And I think social media gives us such a unique opportunity to explore storytelling, because you get a chance to explore storytelling in so many different ways. And we're going to get into that a little bit later. So what story do you tell? So as you think about the content that you want to share, what is the story, or what is the experience that you've had around that content? So what made you come up with the content that you're about to share? What was your unique experience? And once you start to share those experiences, then the people who see themselves in that story, they're going to resonate. They're going to raise their hand and they're going to say, oh my gosh, that's me. Or they're going to say, me too. Okay. And that's what you want people to say when it comes to your content. So one of the things that I pay attention to is your stories lets your audience know that you see them, that you have been where they are. You've come out on the other side and you could help them. So before you share that video, you create that video on that wonderful piece of content that you want to share with your audience. Start to think, this is the content, but what's the story that brings this content to life? Okay. Even if you're doing written social media, you're writing a post. What's the story? How can I create the context for people to really understand what it is that I'm, putting across here and allow them to say, oh my gosh, I get it. That's me too. Okay. That's what you actually want. All right. And so if any of this is resonating with you, once again, go ahead and use the comment section. I would love to hear from you. So drop a comment and let me know this is right on point. Or if you have a question, go ahead, drop your questions into the comment area. And I promise I'm going to come back and I'm going to answer your questions. And so one of the things in switching gears a little bit, one of the things that I've had the opportunity, to work on and to, coin is social media is the greatest storyboard out there. So social media is a storyboard. So if you feel where I'm going with this, just go ahead and let me know. Wow, I like that, right? So social media is a storyboard. So what do I mean that social media is a storyboard? So one of the things that I really started to think about and meditate as Suzanne and we work together in Unleash the Power of Your Story. One of the things that Suzanne says all the time is that your presentation plays like a movie, or your presentation should play like a movie. And I started to think about it and I said, wow, you know what? Your social media should also play like a movie. And it's the movie of transformation for you as the coach or the consultant. And it's the growth that you've experienced and the growth in your products and your services that you offer. So how can you take your audience on that journey with you? So what do I mean by that? How many of you have a favorite influencer? So if you have a favorite influencer, go ahead and drop the name of your favorite influencer into the comment section, excuse me. Drop the name of your favorite influencer. Now, when you take a look at that influencer, especially if you've been following that person for quite some time, are you able to see the transformation and the growth in their brand? So I know that there are quite a few influencers that I follow, and I could clearly see the growth in their business. I could see the growth in themselves personally, and I could also see the growth in their products and services. And it's almost like I have a front row seat, to see how they're really shifting and growing as influencers in the marketplace, right? And that's what you want to also do for your business as well. People are supposed to be able to tune into your social media and your social media be like a movie for them. And the reason why I say it's like a storyboard, because once again, we have the opportunity to create these wonderful experiences in every piece of content that we create for our audience. Okay. So once again, whether you are creating written posts, whether you're creating videos, you're doing shorts, you're doing reels, you're actually creating stories. They're called stories for a reason. While you're creating stories, you are giving your audience an insight, a kind of peek into what you are doing and how you are growing in your business and the unique things that you have coming up in your business. Okay. And so that leads to a question. I know you're thinking, well, Taria, that's great and that's fine, but how do you turn your social media into a storyboard? How do I turn my social media into a storyboard? And so before I do that, I want to just take a minute and kind of backtrack for those of you who don't know what a storyboard is. I'm going to define storyboard for you. So a storyboard is a graphic portrayal of a narrative, a concept, or script divided into sequential scenes or panels. Okay, I know that's a lot, right? But really, what it is, I want you to take away, it's a graphic portrayal of a narrative. So, what is your narrative? When you think about your brand, what is your brand story? And how do you allow that story to show up and play out on social media? So, there's a couple steps in order for you to do this. So, the first thing that I want you to start to consider is identifying your audience. And so, this is also a big one because I know this is one of the questions that I get a lot, from clients. I get a lot, I see it on social media all the time. How do I really, drill down and know who my audience is? And like we say, my divine clients, who exactly it is that I'm talking to. And if you've ever taken marketing one-on-one, one of the things that they teach you in marketing 101 is that you have to know who your ideal client is. Okay, so if you've heard that term, your ideal client, just go ahead and let me know ideal client. So you have to know who your ideal client, and there's steps, there's a process for you to get to know who your ideal client is. So one of the things you have to know is your demographic of your ideal clients, male, female, age, all of that stuff, where they live, if income is important to you, all of that stuff. You need to collect that data. Then we get a little bit into the psychographics of it, right? So people talk about the pain points and everything. Do you know what they're challenged with? What we like to talk about here in storytelling for super achievers, one of the things that we do is we really go a step further and we start to identify like our emotional brand. And the emotional brand, when we talk about it, is that heart to heart connection. Okay. And what is that person? Not only what are their pain points, but what's the transformation that they desire? What is it that they really and truly want? Okay. And once you start to drill down and you know who that person is, that's the first step, because now you're able to create content that speaks directly to that person. The second thing in creating your social media storyboard that you want to do is you want to identify your goals on social media. Okay. So what is it that you're trying to achieve on social media? Not, I shouldn't say trying, but what is it that you want to achieve on social media? So is it education? Is it entertainment, inspiration? Are you going after traffic? Is it sales? What is it for you? What is it that you're working, okay, on? And I know some of you might say, well, Taria, it's all of those things. One of the things that I would say is, as you develop your social media goals, take a look at your goals. What is it that you're focused on for the year? And then in order for you to achieve that goal for the year, are you breaking it down into quarters? Okay, so you know exactly what it is that you are going for. What is it that you want to achieve with your social media? And the key is to make sure that the content that you're creating is in alignment with your goals. And I can't say that enough. Make sure the content that you are creating is in alignment with your goals. So oftentimes what I see a lot of is that people have social media accounts and they're producing content, but there's no tie back to the content with what it is that they want to achieve. So as you once again sit and take a look at your social media plan, and I know that in the beginning of the year we talked about setting the goals, we talked about creating your plan, and you take a look at it, take a look at what it is you want to achieve in your business. Your social media should have strategies that would allow you to get to your goals that you have set in your business. So that's the second thing. The third thing that you want to pay attention to and become very clear on is what's your messaging, Or what's your connecting conversation? That's what I like to call it. I don't call it content anymore. I call it connecting conversation. And your connecting conversations are the conversations or the messaging in the marketplace that's in alignment with your brand. And I can't say this enough. Sometimes people are out there and they're having all sorts of conversations in the marketplace, and those conversations aren't in alignment with their brand. The content doesn't match up with the values of their brand. So that's the third thing. You want to make sure that your connection conversations are in alignment with your brand. Now, the fourth thing that you want to take a look at is, now that you've decided on your connecting conversations, your content, you want to take a look at what's the story, or what's the stories that will bring this content to life. And so I see a lot of tips, I see a lot of, how-tos and all of that stuff, which are great, but there's no context to hold it. Okay. So what's the story that you're going to share with your audience that would bring this content to life? Now, and then the fifth thing that I'm going to share is create an experience. Now, here is where it gets really beautiful when we come to talk about turning social media into a storyboard, is when we talk about creating the experience. What are people going to feel? What are they going to take away when they engage with your content? And so we have the wonderful opportunity to frame our stories up with images. So as you put forth your content, your connecting conversation, are you choosing imagery that brings that content to life? Or if you're doing videos, whether it's long form videos like this video here on a Facebook Live, you're doing shorter videos, you're doing your reels, you're doing your stories, you're doing YouTube shorts, right? What's the experience? Are you thinking about that? What is it that you want your audience to feel? What is it that you want them to take away from your connecting conversation? So those are the 5 things, for you to consider as you start to take a look at turning your social media into a storyboard. Okay. And so for those of you out there, if this is hitting with you, go ahead and let me know in the comments. If you have questions, more questions about turning your social media into a storyboard, feel free once again to drop your questions, drop your comments into the comment section. And I think that that's all I have for you at the moment. So I'm getting ready to go ahead and wrap today's show up. And in true Influencers Journey Show fashion, I'm going to leave you with the quote of the week. And the quote of the week is, "A wise man speaks because he has something to say. A fool speaks because he has to say something." And I'm hoping that each of you chooses to be the wise man who speaks because they have something to say. So once again, super achievers, it has been an absolute honor to be able to share time with you today. So as we depart, know that you are brilliant, know that you are special, and the world is waiting on your unique gift. Take care until next time. Bye-bye.